them. I don't hear the growl. Scream my name, food bags loud. It's time to step into a new level. Then right, turn down for treble. Everyone the bass. Once I settle down, all fours second best and hurl around. For a position in echelon in conditions that all heads come along. Amongst it all, once things have gone off the hook, where the group comes from. Take a good look through the highlights. Vacate will become my life. Making hip hop good as a time. Getting us in a mood for the vibe. Rising up again and hold you down. My type best kept in the underground. Like the London tube, getting around. Circling in front of new sound. Super hurting, press release worldwide. Perverse will release the side. Give me a verge my way to the mic. I never urge my greatness. Alright. Everybody get your groove on. Get in the fight until it's on. Everybody get your groove on. When I take the mic and get it on. It's a party, get your groove on. Once the flow is still standing strong. Once it's all, get your groove on. Give the champagne all night long. Into the next, go get up in the air. When boom bass flows, get off a chair. Stand the hell up, become aware. This could somehow could be well prepared. Get up on stage, bust my recital. Still on the rampage, obtain the title. We'll range the same requital. I try to pay my dues, which is vital. Making my way through the hustle, taking away most of the struggle. Facing a truth that may seem subtle. Raising the roof like a space shuttle. In orbit into our atmosphere. Dream runs me forced out of here. All fours being said loud and clear. Calling out loud into the stratosphere. Going back on top road, safety net. Through the haystack, haven't found it yet. A needle, a bit all fucked at far bent. For people been must attack the stress. From all the living pressure that's polluted. Our souls were work right deluded. Hold out, take the pleasure that's uprooted. The heart chicks drive away, dreams pursuing. Everybody get your groove on. Get in the fight until it's on. Everybody get your groove on. When I take the mic and get it on. It's a party, get your groove on. Once the flow is still standing strong. Once it's all, get your groove on. Give the champagne all night long. Keep the groove on, you don't care. Keep the hands in the air. Do it like this, hell yeah. Do it like this, hell yeah. Keep the groove on, you don't care. Keep the hands in the air. Do it like this, hell yeah. Do it like this, hell yeah. Everybody get your groove on. Get in the fight until it's on. Everybody get your groove on. When I take the mic and get it on. It's a party, get your groove on. Once the flow is still standing strong. Once it's all, get your groove on. Give the champagne all night long. Everybody get your groove on. Get in the fight until it's on. Everybody get your groove on. When I take the mic and get it on. It's a party, get your groove on. Once the flow is still standing strong. Once it's all, get your groove on. Give the champagne all night long.
Hey everybody, we haven't done these in a while, and I'm switching back to this channel now for the Friday streams. Just because, you know, just to be safe. We like to bounce back and forth, you know what I mean? But guys, I hope you're ready to learn a little something that I like to call aliens. Whatever you call them. Guys, are you ready? I'm ready! Alright, because it's UFO Connection 2003, guys. Oh yeah. No. Whoa, rocking. Aliens are rocking. Richie's old garbage. You see aliens every day? Oh, shit. Oh, the Chatamabob is working. Everything's good. Now we're talking.
Hello, and welcome to UFO.
What do I got? What do I got here? Do I have anything? Oh, no. Wait. I haven't used this account in a while, so I'm like, what do I got? I got this. Now that is a ufologist, guys, if I ever seen one.
UFO Connection. I'm your host, Cynthia Siegel. Today we are going
What
to
a
talk
treat.
about propulsion systems that may be used by some UFOs and, as we understand it, are being used by military craft in the U.S. today.
Craft.
We have with us Jess Fritsch, who, for those of you who are technically oriented, you are going to love this show.
Oh, I'm
If you're
excited.
into physics, engineering, always been curious, how do these craft work? Today you're going to get some of those things answered. So please join me in welcoming our special guest,
A
Jess
Downey
Fritsch.
Stephanie McMahon. I was thinking, I was thinking a slightly goofier Peg Bundy. Look at that. That's a face you could trust. I saw an alien. Her creepy little fellers.
Yes, thank you so much for
Look at
coming
that guy.
to be on the show.
I'm really pleased to be here.
Yeah, now we haven't had a show with this much
Well,
technical information or on the physics concept for a long time, and I know the audience is just waiting for it. That's always been one of our most popular topics. So I appreciate your being here because
Craft
you can
dinner.
always
Sign
turn
me
it into
up.
very simple, plain language for anybody to understand easily.
Yes, it's if you get into too much, it's going to be very, very involved.
Yeah, now we
Yeah,
have a
dumb it down, nerd.
ton of slides which you put together beautifully, plus video clips that's going to make it all very simple for
I don't know if I've ever seen this hillbilly before.
people to understand. So there's something for everybody in this episode. Let me tell
Oh.
the audience a little bit about
Even for Hanford?
you first so they have a sense of your background and expertise and how we're very fortunate to have you on this show. You've been a long-time field investigator for MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, of course, one of our
MUFON.
favorite organizations around here. And you have been a lecturer
This bitch is goth as fuck, dude.
at UFO Expo West, appearing as a presenter in both the Los Angeles and the San Francisco
It does look like the JFK hillbilly, you're right.
ones. You have been a guest on the wonderful Hilly Rose radio talk show. And you've even been featured on a couple of movies, which is very impressive, called 6 Days in Roswell, as well as
His
the movie Roswell, the UFO Uncover-Up. So you
We're
are
going to get to the bottom of this, guys. It's truth time.
a self-educated, amazing person who is so knowledgeable. And what we're going to be talking about
She wants this Johnson, dude. You
today,
know it.
like I said before, propulsion systems, and especially the research of someone who you have spent many years looking into, who explained a lot of this to you through the
Yeah.
work.
And his name is Thomas Townsend Brown.
Okay, now, how did all this start for you? How did you end up getting so interested in propulsion systems?
Well, back when I was 13 years old,
Oh.
I had a UFO experience. But before that experience, I was very big into space, into drawing rocket ships and that as a young man. When I
That's like a serial killer.
had the experience of two craft come in and hover over me in Saratoga, California, it totally changed
Over him. Over everyone else. They chose him, guys.
my entire life. I started drawing saucers instead of the rocket ships as I had done before, and it set me out on a over
That's right,
40-year
Evil Betty.
search is to find out how they worked.
Wow.
And I've now come to the part where I know exactly how they work.
Wow, and you're going to share that with us. Now, it led you to the research work of Thomas Townsend Brown. Now, I hadn't heard of him before I
badass
read all
dude.
your material and spoke with you and all those sorts of things. And he's another one of those hidden geniuses that the public doesn't know about. But, oh, wow, when you start looking into him, what a genius before his time. And so thank you for bringing the information about him to the audience.
I would
More
think
aliens.
I would think that there's probably about 90% of the population don't even know about him.
I never heard his name.
He is what I call unsung heroes.
He's an unsung
He
hero,
had no
guys.
college degree. He worked on this technology from the mid-1920s.
He went to the front. Guy's dome is dank, dude. He went to DeVry. Isn't that good enough?
Up until 1958, to when he finally got the U.S. Air Force to acknowledge that this really worked, to prove it to them.
Yeah, okay,
He
nerdlinger.
went up against PhDs in physics and that, which at first in '56 were saying, well, it's ion wind, throwing it off the craft. So he put it in a what's known as a vacuum chamber, and lo and behold, it works better,
Wow.
a lot better.
Now, what was fun
Whatever, nerd. Let's see some
about
pictures.
viewing the materials, the videos, and reading the books that you provided me before, over the past few weeks before the show, this guy is one of those crazy inventors. He's not crazy, but what I mean is he's so dedicated. The videos were just amazing to me because day and day night you could see his just commitment, and there he is in his 50s.
Please keep the camera off his head.
His white shirt and his skinny tie and those thick dark rimmed glasses, doing these incredibly elaborate experiments that were years before his time, and just doggedly sticking with it till he came up with things. And what did in a nutshell, before we get to these fantastic slides, because they're just...
She's got her choker on too tight.
Together an incredible slideshow for our audience.
I think this guy should have wore a choker. It should have been a theme night.
What did he discover? Give people an overview.
Okay. Essentially, he was working in the mid-1920s for an astronomer by the name of Byfield. And Byfield was a classmate of Albert Einstein. And
Albert Einstein, guys.
Had a big thing into gravity and the relativity and that sort of thing. He gave this to Brown and told him to take it and see where you go with it. Well, Brown asked him what could be used to create this.
This is what you look like when you when your life is dedicated to horse shit. You just look like this guy after a while.
And Byfield told him a capacitor.
Okay,
now,
so
a capacitor.
Okay, so in other words, he was challenged to try to replicate the gravitational field of a star system in something small here on the planet that would mimic that to some degree. And the capacitor seemed to be the closest thing. Is that accurate?
That's accurate in that what he was trying to do was to create, because what Byfield was seeing, that stars throw off what's known as gravity waves.
Okay.
And so they wanted to recreate that, create that wave artificially. And the capacitor is what does this.
Now, did they know at the time what value a gravitational wave would have?
At that time, no. They were in the very beginnings of trying to understand.
Cynthia, you got better stuff to do. What are you doing? Cynthia's like, oh man, this sucks. She's trying not to laugh right now. Like, Cynthia's trying not to laugh.
Artificially. And the capacitor is what does this.
Now, did they know at the time what value a gravitational wave would have?
At that time, no. They were in the very beginnings of trying to understand what this...
She's holding it in. It's like, what the fuck? How did I end up here?
Was doing.
So the application wasn't even understood at the time. They just wanted to recreate it and then see what to do with it.
Well, even up until he was finally finishing the work in 1960 and turning it over to the Air Force to create the craft, they still, at that time, they didn't even have anything in physics to explain what was doing. And it took them 20 to 30 years later, and it came out with a technology called, or a area called subquantum kinetics.
Wow.
No,
and it's very, very involved.
My goodness. Yeah, that would be. Okay, so he created a capacitor. Now, for those people who don't know what that is, can you simply...
The best way to describe a capacitor, in electronics, it holds electricity. But if you picture a big reservoir that holds water,
okay,
that's essentially what a capacitor is done, only for electricity.
Okay, so it's a holding tank.
Right.
That's all a capacitor is.
That's all it is.
So
and
when
what
you
it does is it builds up, and then as it gets to its full thing, it lets some of it off, like the water flowing over the top of the dam.
And so if you can control...
Now I know what capacitors are.
The water, the electricity coming off of it in a controlled way, then you can control something else with that.
That's
Is that
correct.
what it's about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so instead of making it a random process.
Right.
Okay, well, so far it sounds very easy to understand.
Oh, yeah.
And so Thomas Townsend Brown created this capacitor that held a lot of energy.
She's like, I can't believe I'm dedicating memory to this horse shit. Yeah, capacitors, yeah.
And he could control the rate at which it's giving off. There's more to it, though.
There's more to it now.
Much more.
And that's what we'll do. When I get into the slides, I'll go through it and show you how it's done.
Why don't we start going to the slides now? What do you think?
There he is.
Slide.
Oh, wait, no, it's somebody
This
else.
is a picture of Thomas Townsend Brown. In fact, it was his passport
That's just you, dude, from 10 years ago. That's just your dome.
photo.
Oh, yeah, and you can see how wonderfully straight-laced and 50
This
she's
is this
looking.
was probably back in the 50s or even before then.
I love that picture.
The term electrogravitics essentially is a question. Electrogravitics, is it anti-gravity or the control of gravity? And it's
I've been asking that question my whole life. Finally, we're going to get some answers.
one of the things I've always found when talking to the public. They always want to use the term anti-gravity in relations to this, and that's an incorrect term. Anti means the opposite of or the canceling out of gravity, and that's not what it's doing.
Okay, so Thomas Townsend Brown learned how to control gravity.
Right.
Not negate it. Okay.
Now,
What are
as
we-
That
a
explains everything. Where's this guy
capacitor
been?
that this is here, we have your positive and your negative plate on it, and you have material in between them, which is called a dielectric material. And what they're talking for is a high K value. The K is dielectric constant. It's that material there, and it's how much electricity it
Now
can
I get it.
store.
Okay, so what you put between these two, the black lines represents like a shell,
You can help yourself to all the Funyuns you want.
and this is sort of
They're communal Funyuns.
like, let's think of it as insulation or some dividing material between
Well, they use
the positive
ceramics.
and...
They use a metal type of ceramics in
Okay.
between them to make capacitors
Okay.
to higher
A
them.
metal type
Okay.
of ceramics?
All right.
What?
Now, Dr. Mason Rose was one of his colleagues working on it, and he described the use of how these things work. The saucers that Brown made had no propellers, no jets, no moving parts whatsoever. And
You
they-
can have the Funyuns, but stay away from my sweet Hall & Oates poster. That's off limits.
They created their own modification of the gravitational field around the craft.
Oh, there's going to be aliens
So,
today.
in other words, it's a perfect description of a disc.
Right.
Like a
and
UFO.
here, as we see,
There it
is
is.
you have a disk. The leading edge is the positive charge and the negative at the back. The positive is going to create what's known as a gravity well. It's
Okay.
pushing, in a sense, it's pushing the fabric of space down.
That's what we see on the right
And
side of
see
the
on the right side of the
screen,
screen.
dipping down.
The
it's
negative on the left side is
Richie, as someone who has a cat water fountain, do you find it better than just having a bowl and running the faucet at times? My cat's an asshole. He won't drink out of a bowl of water, or she won't drink out of a bowl of water, so you got to get a fountain. If your cat's the same way, you got to get a fountain, dude.
pulling the
I'm
fabric
glad,
up. It's
I'm glad I could answer that.
creating a gravity hill. Now, together, they are creating a gravity wave.
Oh.
Huh.
And the best way to think of this is a surfer on a surfboard riding the waves.
And just looking at the diagram, we see the shape of the wave there. And since it's sloping down towards the well at the front, does
It moves
it
towards the direction.
does it go straight forward, or is it a leaning forward but moving
It'll actually
straight?
go straight forward
It will. It won't be
Look at
tipping
that.
because of
down.
the speed on that.
Okay. Very good so far.
She
Very
care
good,
less.
Jess.
Now, electrogravitics saucers creates
Or
its
she
own
couldn't
hill.
care less.
That's what we just saw.
In the back.
And this is how it's done in that. Now, that hill, it takes that in any direction that it wants to. Plus, since it's creating its own gravity field, the occupants inside
Yeah.
have no sensation of movement whatsoever. It means that it can make these incredible high-speed turns, and as you normally would think, the person inside is slammed against the wall. It's not. You can have a coffee cup sitting in there, and it won't even ripple.
You know,
What?
that explains so many things, because people argue that our government could not have a craft that does these maneuvers because
Our government would not have a craft. Where's this root from?
humans inside would not be able to withstand it. But if it is run by this gravitational field, they wouldn't feel it, and that takes care of that obstacle.
The same principle is that the
Fascinating.
Earth is rotating on its axis at 1,000 miles per hour. And we don't even feel that because we are inside its own gravity field.
good
It's
one.
the same principle.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's go to the next slide. This is
Cynthia, can you hoard it up a little bit? This is some dry shit, you know what I mean?
fabulous, Jess. You're just explaining things so clearly. All right.
These
There,
are
look at
taken
that.
from his actual patents.
That's just a ride at the carnival, dude. That's just a carnival ride, that second picture. Yeah, you sit on it and it spins and it straightens out. It's awesome.
And the one on the left shows looks like an umbrella, and other a flat in the capacitor.
Yeah.
They found that the umbrella, which has a curved surface in that, has more surface space for the power to go out, so you have a better lift
Crafts.
and control of the craft.
Versus flat. That makes sense.
And
okay.
on the right-hand side, This was an experiment he did. You take a T-pole for a structure in that and hang 2 discs. They were 18 inches in diameter. They're aluminum with plexiglass in between it to insulate it, and then you have an extension out with a copper wire. The copper wire is charged positive, the disc is charged negative, and at 50 watts of power, that's a light bulb.
This guy's just saying things because he knows no one's going to research it.
Yeah.
At 50,000 volts, they
That's what I'm saying, Gubbo.
of 12 miles per hour around the circle. Now, when they pulsed it, and it's a technique in electronics of pulsing that electricity out of that capacitor.
And pulsing means
you get a
on, off, on, off, on, off,
in a sense.
Okay.
You're getting what's known as a gravity kick.
Okay.
The acceleration of the same voltage and same wattage in that, just with this pulse rate, the acceleration is so great it nearly tore the rig apart.
Oh my gosh. So instead of going 12 miles per hour, it's going like 1,000 miles per hour.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Very good. Let's.
Now this is
crazy.
how you take it to the outer skin of the
Stop
craft.
trying to sell this shit, Cynthia. You know there's just some crazy dude saying things.
In fact, the entire skin of the craft is the propulsion drive. And it's sandwiched with dielectric material, and it's shaped in a sense like a triangle. The larger base end is actually towards the outer side of the way from the craft. That is where the force is going to be sent out from the dielectric material.
And it won't even ripple your curvy.
And they can change that either by positive or negative charge. You can switch the charge by instantaneously.
So, and if you were to switch the charge, would you be, instead of going forward, go backwards?
You can change the direction. Essentially, you're still moving forward, but you're changing the direction of motion. If you're going, say, to the west, and you want to go to the east, it's by simply changing the polarities on plates on the craft, and you change it instantaneously.
See, now I know enough to make one in my backyard.
Okay. Wow.
These are how they're making these.
Wow. I hope she got paid for this.
Now, why is the triangle instead of the curved? You said before in the earlier diagram there's a curved surface, and
it's in a curved area, but this is how the material is shaped inside the craft.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
All right.
There it is.
This is an actual photo, and it's from the silent footage that is available of one of these discs and the plexiglass that he used and hung from that. He got to ones about 3 feet in diameter and using higher voltage up to around 250,000 volts. And it's when they start really finding the actual craft is putting out probably 18 million or more volts of power.
Wow. Versus
wow.
50?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Just from pulsing it.
Just from pulsing
and using this
now,
system.
Now the pulse rate is how they control the speed. And now this is a drawing that's showing the testing of lift in that. The center of it, you have your dielectric material, and you have positive all on the top, but a very small area that's negative.
You're giving away all the secrets.
In the 50s, he got up to 110% of the weight of the
Yes, everyone was this crazy.
test rig. It means the weight of that rig itself plus 10% more of that weight it could lift.
Oh my
and this
God.
was on,
yeah, but can your hubcap go 1,000 miles an hour? I think not.
On about 300,000 volts in that. They were working at, again, very small voltage.
Wow.
Now, on the left is an actual picture of one of these test rigs, and they look like umbrellas. And believe it or not, it was balsa wood.
Oh, for heaven's
and
sake.
aluminum foil was all they were using.
Well, that's not hard to lift, though.
No, they were working at that time with small amounts of power.
Okay.
At the most, maybe 500,000 volts in that. You get into more of that.
See, aliens are real. Here's some pictures of some old dudes. You see, they're old dudes. It's got to be real.
On it when you get into it. Now, these pictures here, that's Brown holding one of the 3-foot disc that was used on it. And again, on the other photo,
dude.
is you're going to see these
You got that at Taco Pete's.
round balls, metal balls, and they're very, very important in the design of that, and I'll show you later on.
Okay.
Oh.
Now, this is the interesting thing. If anyone knows Adamski, and back in the 50s, he took pictures of this UFO.
Oh, yeah, me and Damsky go way back, dude. Oh, hey, could I ask him about this? Oh, we died? Oh, that sucks.
And believe it or not, it looks a lot like that.
So are we looking at an Adamski UFO, or are we looking at a brown?
This is the brown prototype model. It's small. He built to do testing.
Which came first, the Adamski photo or Brown's test?
That's what I've been trying to say. Now, some of them say it was about 56 or something like that, or 52, that he took those pictures. Now, this is back in 58. 59.
So he might have been inspired to try this design.
Because he was already seeing this shape in his work and how to do this.
And oddly, his work did not come out of initially.
You don't think he's ever been to Yakov Smirnov's dinner adventure? I bet you he was in the front row.
In the 20s, from his interest in UFOs, it came out of just an interest as a scientist.
Right.
And then later on,
learning to get this, why they're seeing these gravity waves. In fact, about 10 years ago, we had 3 probes out there.
And by the way, this wasn't the 80s. This is from 2003. 2003.
Probe and 2 others in that, and they were trying to do an experiment to see if they could detect these natural forming gravity waves coming through the system by the signals from these spacecraft.
Oh,
and it failed. It didn't.
Failed.
They didn't see anything.
Yes, everybody's well. Very good. Okay.
Now this shows it in a vacuum chamber.
That's
and
a
they're
pull
doing
filter.
a lifting with this model.
Now, is outer space a vacuum or not?
Yeah, vacuum. Yes.
Okay.
Because
Oh,
actually,
come on, Cynthia. You knew that.
particles are hundreds of feet apart.
Okay, so it's not a perfect technical vacuum, outer space, but for purposes of how far the molecules. So in other words, you're saying even in outer space,
it works better.
It works better.
Because what they were doing in 1956,
Even better in
physicists were
space?
saying, well, it's throwing ion wind off of the craft in that. So
Oh, ion wind.
Brown put it in a vacuum chamber, and lo and behold, it works a lot better. And in fact, they have an increased speed and capability when it gets outside the atmosphere.
Man, how can you be so boring talking about flying saucers? That's how they got you back in the day. You'd buy the tape for $25, take it home and watch it, and be bored and fall asleep and be like, eh. that was all right, I guess.
What is ion wind, though? You kind of lost me for a second.
Ion wind is the same thing if you have an airlift of a wing for the airlifting.
Oh, so that would normally slow something down.
No, the ion wind going over would act the same way as the air does over a wing in an airplane to cause lift.
Oh, okay. And this proved that was not what was causing that effect.
They called Cynthia the human vacuum in high school. Right, Cynthia? She agrees.
As soon as they put it in a vacuum chamber, that disproved the theory of the ion wind.
Okay, very good. Okay, now we're taking a few-minute break from the slides, and then in about 5 minutes we're going to go to your video
Break
footage.
time.
But let's talk a few minutes. This is great
No, Cynthia, don't hurt yourself.
stuff.
What we're going to show you here was smuggled out of the Nellis test range in November of 1994. It's on U.S. government tracking cameras and radar. And all around the range, it's about 3 million acre range in that. It's a bombing range for the military.
Oh, a bombing range.
And they have civilian contract workers that are based at Indian Springs Air Base, which is down the southern part of it, of the base and of this range.
Is this near Area 51 is what we're
Area
talking
51,
about?
or actually it's Groom Lake,
Okay,
is part of this.
okay.
And
Of course.
these contract workers are there mainly to keep aircraft from straying into the range, make certain if they're bombing with live bombs and that people aren't working on the ground under them. That's all they're there for.
And aliens.
When the black budgeted craft, such as the F-117
Hey, you got any proof on that? You got any proof on this black budget stuff?
fighters, before they came public and that, were flying because they were testing them there. They actually came out of the Groom Lake facility where they were flying them. These sites are all supposed to be shut down.
Okay.
Because these people are not classified to see these.
So the people who normally are keeping track of the air to make sure nobody's in the way during dangerous tests,
Right.
they're not there, and maybe some classified personnel come in or whatever, but the video footage you're going to show us,
Oh, shit.
somehow a mistake happened.
Somehow a mistake happened. These people did not get the word.
So they were working when they weren't supposed to be,
And we have
they...
2 sites. We're going to start out with the S-13 site.
Okay.
And on that site,
This guy, man. How do you take anything this guy says seriously?
the craft is about 4.5 miles out away from the camera, so it only looks like a little blip
Okay.
on the screen of that. You can see a white area that's larger. That's on the lens, and it indicates where this is.
Sort of like a spotlight saying, look within this
And this
big
guy downed an 18-pack before this video.
bigger circle for
Right.
what we're looking at.
And at the top, you're going to see azimuth, elevation, and range. The range is how far away it is, azimuth, and so forth. And that is all part of how these angles are. And you can actually, from that information, you can draw a computer drawing of its flight.
Ooh.
At the bottom is the radar.
You would be
blip.
too if you had an 18-pack yapping about aliens.
Okay.
And you're actually going to see this blip on it, and they're going to lock radar on it. Now, they're going to use the term called launch up, and that means they're actually locking radar on it. And then he's going to say, we have a kill. And that's just like in a jet fighter saying there's a fired the missile and they hit that other aircraft. And
are you saying that they
do not fire on it? No.
Oh, but they have it locked on.
That means it's really there. It's not something that's a mirage out there. It's real.
Okay.
Fucking real.
And these guys that are on this tape and that don't know what they're looking at.
They normally would not even know anything like this
Right.
exists.
After they lock radar on it, this craft has been going out real slow. And all of a sudden, it just jerks out. Now, on the screen, you're going to see it go back and forth. And that's because it's a joystick-controlled camera. They're having a hard time keeping...
Finally, some real proof coming up, guys. You're going to want... Oops. You're going to want to sit down for this.
...up with it.
Okay. So it's not that the craft is necessarily...
The craft isn't zooming back and forth in that. It's their control. They're getting ahead of it, and then it comes back up and so forth.
Okay.
And
yeah, well, the second half of the video, she's sitting on his lap talking to him.
They're going to go back to what they call Save 4, and they're going to move that camera back to that, and they're going to switch from the S-13 site to the S-30 site, which is quite a distance.
Okay.
And this craft travels it within seconds.
Huh. Okay.
And they're talking probably around 70 miles distance between these two sites and that. In the S-30 site, they're going to come in real close on it, and it's really going to see the black craft and the white plasma field around it.
All right, great, dude.
Now, when they get the tape, I'll kind of go in through and explain a few things in it. Because later on, you're going to hear a voice say, non-flare. And they're being ordered by someone else in a higher position to shut their sight down.
Okay, dude, that's great.
When we hear non-flare, that's when they were told...
They're being ordered.
Turn this off.
Right.
Okay.
And you'll actually come down saying the radiator's not radiating. And that's what it means.
All right, let's see the video.
Down.
How did you get this footage, Jess?
I had to kill like 13 people. I bled them real slow and quiet like.
I have a friend who used to be with that base. He was one of these controllers, but he was not one on this tape. And he was on the Sightings program that aired it in 1995.
I got a friend who's good at faking UFO videos.
So how did Sightings get this? I mean, this sounds like it should be very heavily classified.
The individual who took it and got it out, he got it to Sightings, but he got caught. And he went to prison. And as far as I know, he's still in prison. Because it's a very, very severe...
Sort of treason, huh?
It's very severe. But for the government to go after the tape would be them to acknowledge that it's the real.
You don't think they could just have it disappear?
No. Mostly they just ignore it.
Okay.
And because when they
show us
start
your
saying
karate suit already.
That on it, then there's indicating it's real.
Okay, I understand.
They don't go after people anymore. It's very rare.
Well, I've heard different stories, but that's fine. Okay, so they...
Sure you have, Cynthia.
So this got aired. You heard of it 2 months after you saw this tape.
I had it 2 months before they aired it.
And then it got aired on Sightings. This was like, what, 10, 12 years ago or something?
It was 1995.
Okay.
And their so-called experts had no idea what they were looking at. Okay. They actually stated in one area on the tape and that...
Sightings didn't have any experts. Anyone remember that show?
It looks like it's changing shape. Well, it's not. The only thing that's changing shape on it is the plasma field is moving around the craft.
Okay. Now, when we watch this video, there's going to be sound, but parts of the video is going to be quiet, so we're going to talk over it, and then other times they're going to hear the actual controllers making comments.
All right, come on, let's see the video, you fucking assholes. How long are you going to talk about this 10-second long video? How about we just show it and shut up? Cynthia, if you say one more fucking word.
And the second part of the tape, they think we have a helo. And helo is military term for helicopter.
Oh, thanks for the tip, dude.
You'll actually see the black craft.
See, I'm an insider. I know all the technical terms. I know all the vernacular.
Part of it, and you'll see kind of a ripple around the craft. That is the field. And it looks almost like a pulsing. It looks like two rotor blades on a helicopter.
So they're calling it a helicopter in the end?
That's what they think, but they don't know what it is.
Okay.
And they state that. Because once they get up above a certain level, then they see this white around it, and that totally blows their mind.
Okay.
They know that they got something really strange in that,
We get to hear the surprise and astonishment of the controllers. Okay, let's go to the video. Finally. It's about 6 minutes long, and let's check it out.
Okay, again, that's azimuth, elevation, and range at the top, You have S13
Look at that,
at the
guys.
bottom.
I see the
and
alien.
You see the blip there.
Okay, so the big circle is sort of like the
That's on the lens.
spotlight.
That's on the lens, and a little white dot
Towards
in
the
the middle.
bottom is
Towards the bottom is the craft.
The unidentified
I don't
object.
see anything.
Now, Jess, is this, in your opinion, a UFO or one of our craft using this advanced propulsion?
This is an IFO.
This is an identified flying
Flying object.
object, as far as you're concerned.
I know it for a fact.
Oh, I see it. I see it now.
Another thing, you'll see how it is, and understanding how electrogravitics works. This is working exactly the same.
Well, yeah,
All the
but
principles
don't
are
some
there.
UFOs perhaps use this
This one is not.
gravitational system?
There are
said
craft
that-
that work that way.
Aliens.
But this particular one, because it's black.
So you think that
Whenever-
if it
yeah.
behaves this way, any craft that is like a UFO but it's painted black is no longer a UFO, it's one of ours.
It's one of ours.
Using this advanced propulsion system.
Right. And if you look at the military today, we have black helicopters, we have black on everything, and that
So you
is
think
for a
that-
reason.
That's just Cobes' mom going back to her home planet. Bye, Clint. I gotta go. My people need me.
Okay.
I'm
Now,
man.
Now you hear the controllers in the background.
they're very hard to understand. Do you want to point out anything in particular that they're
Yeah, I
saying?
think if they listen and watch this right now, in a little bit they're going to lock radar on it. You'll see down the bottom, right-hand side in that, it'll say LAU or something like that. That means launch up.
Launch up. And remind us what that meant again?
That's locking radar.
Locking radar is launch up. Okay.
That is definitely a crock of shit.
I didn't realize that they used the spotlight like that to center it. That's very clever. So
It's used on a lot of
so that has nothing to do with a field around it. That's just
No.
there trying
That's
to get
on
it
the lens.
centered.
That's on the lens.
Very interesting.
Yeah, you can't
Like
see
a-
it, guys.
Like a bullseye, so to speak.
Correct.
Okay. Now, is the object moving and they're staying on it, or is it?
Yes, if you look at the range, top right, you
Yes.
see it
Crap.
changing.
So,
It's very slowly moving.
is it moving in one direction only?
Yeah, it's in a kind of straight line at this point.
So these guys are doing a good job staying on it.
This is definitive proof, everybody.
10.8 degrees.
There's aliens.
Kilometers range. We're going to put a launch up on it anyway and see what happens. It seems to be hovering there. Launch up, 21.3 degrees, 18.5 degrees elevation, 10.9.
There's the alien guys.
It appears to be going outbound.
It's
real
going.
slow. There's hardly any range velocity. I don't know if this would be an impact or not. We have impact, 024, 18.3 degrees elevation, 11K.
What does that mean? We have
It
impact.
disappeared.
Kill.
On its
It
unknown
means they
aircraft.
get impact means that they actually hit it with a radar.
They've hit it with the radar. Okay. It's a
No
solid
scheme,
object.
No tactics.
Okay.
Right now, they're saying this is weird because suddenly
Yeah,
you see it go out.
This tape
They
sucks.
control cap.
Oh,
We're trying to keep up with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, now, it's not that the object is wiggling around at a weird pattern. It's that they're trying to lock on
They
it.
borrowed the same studio that Gorgeous George used.
They're trying to keep the camera on it.
And they were using,
Come on.
what's
You
going
see it
on?
now, Uncle Ted?
Is they're moving the camera
'Cause I don't
back
see
to
shit.
state 4. That's its normal position where it would be on the stand. And you know they're going to switch. There's going to be kind of some static in the middle here because they're going to switch from the S13 site to the S30 site.
Oh, we can see the radar is flat a lot of the
It's
time.
moving around that. Now they're going to change things. This is where they're changing.
Okay, it'll take a few seconds. And
Hey,
then
dude,
we're
could you
gonna
get a
come
better
back.
tape?
Now, when
What the
it comes
fuck
clear
is
here,
this?
Look at the radar. The radar is this wiggly line down the bottom because the craft is jamming that radar.
There it is, guys. Now we see it.
Military aircraft has the ability to jam radar to protect themselves. This is jamming. Now you notice it's black color.
Very interesting.
Yeah, we're not alone,
So they
Cozy.
can't get a
We're not
radar
alone.
picture. This is just a visual lock right now.
Right.
Well, this is much clearer.
And now you'll notice there's kind of a fluctuation around the black. This is the field. You're going to see the field better when it gets up.
Okay, so we'll get a better view of
Again,
it.
they're having trouble keeping it.
There it is.
So it comes out and goes in and just goes there.
Static. Very difficult with bad gravity.
It's part of the problem.
It's a frisbee.
I got a helo.
Now, other things I got to do. Yeah,
There it goes.
Very nice. And that's the field around it. The gravitation.
That's the pulsing stick.
Do a flip.
Now, we get up to the line here. You'll see the white plasma field around the craft.
Yeah.
It's its force field.
And that
That's just a bumblebee, man. That's just filming a bumblebee. There it goes. Just film a bumblebee and put Half-Life 2 Combine sounds in the background. There you go. Make it black and white. Just fuck with the contrast. There it goes.
They control the craft.
Look at that, guys.
Now, is the craft making this motion? Oh, that is an odd-looking craft. It's sort of an acorn.
Great.
Is it an acorn shape or is
No,
it
it's
the
a disc.
field?
Oh,
Way
it's
the
shining.
field is right now.
Okay, I see.
You don't
And it
see
looks
it.
like the field is also
Well, I'm convinced.
And we're looking at the bottom. We see the
We're kind of
forehead.
looking down at the bottom like this.
Okay. So you're going to talk
Because they
more.
only talk to weirdos. If you ever notice, aliens only ever talk to weirdos. The most unimportant, if you're a super unimportant person, like if you died, no one would even know you were gone for 6 months, an alien's going to come and talk to you.
Right.
When we go into your slideshow.
Now, Rick, you're going to be able to hear him say non-player. Where'd it come from? Way down.
Maybe we could
Came
turn
from
that
space.
down. Okay, that's the end of the video.
Thankful.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. My goodness. Well,
Now,
I think that's pretty wild to get that
To
smuggled
seeing
out
those
there.
four fields around it, the four plasma, it looks like a clover. If you have, in a sense, a disk, you have 2 plates positive, 2 negative, and you're getting your forward moving.
Then why don't you make one, dude? If you know all about this shit, go make one.
If you want to, if you're going this way, you want to go this way. You just change this plate and this plate. Change the polarity.
So whichever is positive
It
will
goes
be
in that direction.
Okay, so if, like you said, we have 4 plates, if you want to go this way, let's say you have them here and here, you're going to...
They paid Cynthia in chokers. Here, you could pick out your favorite 5 chokers.
That one, if you want to go this way, you're going to put the 2 that are facing in that direction.
Correct.
Oh, interesting. Now, Adamski's UFO, purported UFO video pictures that we saw earlier, that Townsend,
That Brown did.
Brown reproduced in one of his experiments, the design, that had 3.
Well, that's a smaller one in that, and they weren't
Think
working
that laptop could play Doom?
as a full craft for that, because what they were doing there was testing lifting.
Okay, and now the
And,
4 would allow for any
right.
direction whatsoever.
In fact,
That is
there's a lot
clever.
more involved in the plates and that when you
She's
really
loving
get
it.
into the design of the craft.
Wow.
And you're getting more for up.
Cynthia, you need to calm down, dude. You're getting too excited over some guy spouting horse shit.
And down and moving around in that.
That is absolutely fascinating.
And the key is no moving parts whatsoever.
Okay, where is the energy start?
Yeah, you got it. If you want to find old streams and stuff, you got to check out my Facebook. I know it's Facebook, right? But just look up my name on Facebook. It's got the links.
I mean, a
It's the
capacitor.
power source.
It's all there. It's all there for the taking. I had to put the last one on Internet Archive.
What is the power source?
The whole craft is the capacitor.
Do you have to put something in to get it started? I'm so ignorant about,
Well,
engineering.
there's beliefs that they're using nuclear power on it. That's one idea. And
That's Ursula?
they do have portable nuclear reactors that would give enough power to power a craft like this.
Now, what's to keep the energy from draining off as they're using it?
Well, actually, once you put it in the capacitor, it doesn't drain,
Ever?
ever, until they actually ground it and drain it off.
You mean so this force field or the gravitational field we're seeing around it is not energy being sent out?
That's
Cynthia's trying her best. Hey, would you buy a used car from this guy? Just asking. If this guy wanted to sell you something. Would you buy anything from this dude?
That's correct.
It just always stays.
It
So you're
stays
talking
there.
about free energy, Jess?
That's correct. Free energy is really great, but we'll get to that later. We go to the slides. I can show more on how we do on these.
Let's do it. This is so fascinating.
Okay.
Let's go to a slide.
Okay.
Oh, slide time,
All
guys.
right. They're almost ready.
Ready?
So what is this first
Okay,
slide?
what we're looking here, and this is from the silent color footage that he did from 1958 to 1960. This is what I totally believe is the underside of the prototype craft. You have in the
There it
center
is, guys.
there, the little circle there, is that kind of round copperish color thing, and
It's a
that
ball bearing on an ashtray. Or one of them weirdo drum cymbals.
is where the energy is built up and stored.
Okay.
And the metal balls, as you see,
Wow.
that is charged also, and it's used as what's known as a field stabilizer.
You'd buy
To stabilize
anything.
the field.
Can you put that in very simple English for me, Jess?
Well, if you have a field and it's all kind of fluctuating, you're going to stabilize it to keep it so it's better controlled. These
Okay.
set up an opposite to control it.
Okay. I
That's
can
from an old pinball machine.
follow that.
Yeah.
That
And- all
explains
right.
nothing.
Now this is taken from the video we just saw, and it's that first part, and you can see the jammed radar and the black craft.
Okay.
Now this is a close-up of it from this video. And the black again is the craft, the white, and you'll see that even up on one side there's a little bit of white there. And that's part of it showing that the craft is circular, it's round.
No.
Okay.
It's a
It looks
disc
like a
in
guy on fire falling to his death. Doesn't look like anything round.
All right.
Steel purse
And
drum
this
kit,
is
yeah.
showing it a little bit better than that, showing the craft is a black and the white is a plasma
Okay.
field.
I have a naive question. Sorry, I'm not
No,
a
go
technical
ahead.
person. It
Cynthia, you ask a stupid fucking question, I'm throwing you off the set.
appears to me as if the gravitational field is all, at least the white part is all on one side and the disk is on the right. Am I misreading this?
You're misreading it. It's because
Cynthia, out! Get out!
in the air, it's moving around. And as it's moving through it, it may be pushing it back, and you're not seeing it over this area, but it's there.
So the gravitational, the plasma field.
Is all the way around it now. You're just not seeing it all the time.
Is plasma the same as gravity? I mean,
No,
you're
plasma is-
interchanging these words. and
Plasma is, gravity is the outcome of it, controlling it. Plasma is a way of saying that it's an
This
energy.
looks like a popcorn. It's a piece of popcorn.
okay.
field around the craft.
Okay, so the energy, the plasma, is an energy field around the craft, and
Right.
the result of that energy field is creating a gravitational change.
In our cars, we have a little coil,
Okay.
and they're rated around 50,000 volts DC. And sometimes they get charged up and it's dark outside. They'll actually glow a little bit.
Huh.
And that's exactly what this is, but on a much bigger scale.
Hey, you want to fuck my sister? It's a little long in the tooth, but she's good where it counts.
Okay.
Now this was taken, I don't know what year it was. It was in Japan. It's a U.S. Air Base.
Oh.
Of the top, it's an SR-71 Blackbird that was taking off. That's what they were looking at when they were taking pictures. There's all these Japanese down there, their cameras taking pictures and that. And lo and behold, down here,
So this is an actual photograph. This is not a drawing.
Photograph.
this
Okay.
is a normal corporate jet.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what it is, Cynthia, because these pictures are shit.
All
You
right.
see the wing and the fuselage. Over here is a disc. And this is
Glorious
a step band
Nippon.
over here. It's normal UPS step bands that deliver this stuff and that. This craft should have been inside this hangar with the doors closed.
How could they just have it sitting out there letting people take
It is
pictures?
a major, major breach of security.
But good thing this guy was there to catch it.
When I saw this thing, I couldn't believe it.
Good heavens.
Now this is a close-up.
Oh,
I was
my.
doing it, and all I had was a color photocopy of the photo to work with. So the grain, when you get in, it gets kind of nest in that. But you can see the three legs, the disc, the top area here,
Oh,
and
gift.
this,
That could be
and this
anything.
area, and this is a step band next to it. You can see the window right here.
Now, what are we getting up to it yet? Where you explained to me before the show the issue about the disc with the round part on top and the three or four balls underneath
That was
it.
That was the early things, and I think they've gone beyond that now.
You do, okay? Because
this is an artist drawing.
Man, if I had one of those, I'd be so out of here.
What I believe is a best guess of what our craft looks like today.
Our craft,
what's
not
hot
the
dog?
The United States Air Force, or actually better known as the United States Space Force.
Wow, I haven't heard that exact term. So you think that our government has these craft, and it's like one of our advanced ones that they keep hidden for decades before
We have
the
an
public
entire
knows.
fleet. We have an entire fleet
What
of
is
these.
it used for? Is it used for outer space travel?
Oh yes, we have base on the other side of the moon.
This is a picture from my UFO playset that I bought from Walmart. I love it. Sometimes I hold it up in the air and make noises and run around the house.
Our side, the side that we can't see, there's a base there. The lights that flew over Phoenix about 6-7 years ago, everyone's showing a wing. That's incorrect. It was a triangle that's about
That's class,
1.8
Doctor.
miles from the tip to the back of
That
it.
is huge. But that's a triangle. These are discs. So
That was
why?
that's what we call an aircraft carrier or battleship, because it has two magnetic rail guns on board it, which is brilliant pebbles, which is a so-called Star Wars weapon. You know,
Star Wars.
so this craft could even fly it into outer space, huh?
Oh yes.
And why do you think that was seen over Phoenix? I mean, was that staged
Me
on
and
purpose?
Pickles would have intergalactic adventures.
I believe so. Yes.
Just to gauge reaction?
It's so ridiculous in that they've been doing these things over public areas. The black triangles, the TR-3B, black mantas, and that are that way, and it is all U.S. technology.
Huh.
We have an underground base in the Santa Cruz Range.
So we
The plastic plants really liven up the place.
have a fleet of craft that is perfectly designed for outer space travel.
Either
And
way.
they can go at a remarkable speed. So like going to the far side of the moon, how long might that take?
15
Beers
minutes.
and Cobes beating? What an adventure.
15 minutes easily.
Wow. That's pretty quick.
When it took our Apollo astronauts 3 days to get out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Because they're just drifting.
Okay,
Now,
what are we
this
looking at?
is from the patents, Brown's patents. This is how we're going to go into how the B-2 stealth bomber works, because the B-2 is not an airplane. It does not need air to fly.
What is it?
What?
It is
Do you
an
have a name?
advanced technology bomber, as they call it in that. It is using electrogravitics, or the control of gravity, to fly.
Ooh.
And what we have here is a flame jet generator. Now, I'll show you a picture of the bomber a little later on in that.
No,
There's
you'll
a-
show it now.
The black area, they said, is reduced back because the heat from the engines for heat-seeking missiles and that. Not true. That is where the collector plate is for the excess ions, as you can see here.
So that's partly why it doesn't drain energy, because it's being collected and put right back in.
Right, in a closed
Makes
system.
sense to me.
Okay.
Now then, this is another drawing from Brown did. He's doing a disc.
They run on magnets, right? Every bullshit story involves magnets for
Yeah,
some reason.
this flame jet generator in the back, and they had different areas to spread out the ions out the back to create this field, and the forward area for your positive to
Okay.
create this field, and it works for the aircraft.
Well, go make
These
one.
are drawings of the B-2. The forward leading edges of the wings are positively charged.
Okay.
The engines
Oh, it's sort of like a curved look then. I see.
are the engines are putting out your ions for
Okay.
your negative charge,
Oh.
and that's going to create this plasma field around the craft.
So if by having the positive
Yeah, every time you hear someone bring up magnets, you know it's horse shit.
in the front and the negative in the back, you're creating that well in the front and the
Correct.
hill in the back and that wave, and it propels it forward.
That's correct.
And
And
it's-
how to change the movement of the direction of this craft?
Oh.
By simply increasing the pulse rate on one side of the wing and decreasing the other.
I don't even know what I'm looking at. What is that? I don't know what that is.
You turn.
But it can't go backwards
What?
because it would have to turn around
What the fuck is that?
and have the points, the front point turn around. So this
Yeah.
is, right?
This-
Unlike the other disc
This
form.
picture right here is from the film. It's showing a wing section, and it actually shows lift using electrogravitics.
Wow.
And now this is the B-2, and again, as I'm pointing here at the back, that black area, that's where the collector plate is. Believe it or not, mathematically shown, electrogravitics does not create heat. Gravity does not create heat. So that is totally negate. Once this aircraft, this craft gets up in that and gets going, it can shut all 4 engines down. It has unlimited range with no
That's
fuel
right.
consumption.
So it uses fuel to get off the ground, but
It
it
uses
doesn't
fuel
really
to supply, because these are flame jet generators, and they are used for
Hey, that was stolen from that other guy, that other shithead guy's video.
creating
That was from the guy who talked about all those planes.
electricity only. Now, this is a drawing of the TR-3B Black Manta. These are the black triangles that people are
Well,
seeing.
but that's their thing. They say a bunch of horse shit, so you're all confused, and you just agree with them because you don't want to think about it. It's all garbage.
This is saying it from the top, which a lot of people don't see.
And what are those interesting ridges along the edges?
That I don't know.
Okay.
They don't know.
Those are for... Those are stylish ridges.
Really
You gotta
true,
look
and
good when you're in
someone drew
space.
this and that, because we don't have good ones. But now this is a picture, and what you're looking through up to it, you can see at the three corners the white lights and the white light in the middle.
So this is as if we were looking up in the sky
We're looking up
to
underneath
the
it,
underbelly of
the
a
underneath it
triangle.
of a TR-3B Black Manta.
They're out there?
These are all ours. We
They're
have a
all
fleet
ours.
of these. We have a fleet of the discs. It is ready. Now, talking about free energy, this is taking
Free
this
energy.
little device is spinning up there, and it's powered by this box here. And this is the key to free energy, because once these
And it
things
runs on magnets.
are charged, they're permanently charged. You never lose the energy. I can create electric-powered vehicles, any vehicle, including the big rigs. The big diesel locomotives could be converted to free energy electric vehicles.
Yeah, they're hiding
So-
free energy from us, guys.
No recharging.
Is this Thomas Townsend Brown's invention or concept that what we're looking at, this power generator right now?
That's correct.
So this patent exists,
Here, take a picture of this metal box. We'll say it's the power generator.
but nobody's really
He never
aware.
really patented anything like this.
Okay, because he did have a lot of patents.
He has patents in that, but
I-
it was something different than this.
Okay.
In the night, light it out in an oven, brush on liquid copper, and so you can attach your wires to it, and then charge it. And it never lost its charge. He was running clock radios off of it, anything on that, and never lost its charge, period. Permanently charged.
Is this a simple thing to make?
Forever.
It's very simple.
Well, when are you going to make one?
I'm looking for a benefit.
Well, you see, Copes, you believe this, dude? Copes.
Fudge, yeah.
Copes believes all this.
Factor financially. But as I tell people, I don't want to be a Nikola Tesla with a J.P. Morgan as that financial benefactor. We all know what happened in that. If anyone's out there, Tesla wanted to give energy away for free, and when when J.P. Morgan found out about it, he shut him down.
How can people
Motherfuckers.
learn more about electrogravitics if they're interested?
Well, they're going to put up
Well, you
a-
have to give me a lot of money. That's step one. And step two is go fuck yourself.
my email address.
Okay, we'll do that at the end of the show.
And
Now,
the end
you
of-
have a particular book that you brought with us,
Yeah.
with you.
This is one I did not
Why don't
write,
we- Right.
but it's gone.
But you're recommending this, so let's do a
It's very,
close
very
thing.
good.
Okay, what is it you like about this book?
It covers a lot of what I've been telling you here today on that.
So if
And-
people were interested in learning more about the work
Yeah,
of Thomas
zoom in on
Townsend
those
Brown
titties.
or that free energy device you just showed us, that
now, you're not
generator?
going to see. You're not going to see anything on free energy in this.
Okay.
They're talking strictly on the propulsion drive,
Okay.
and because most people out there don't even know about the free energy end of it.
Where can they learn about the free energy end of it?
Well, they need to get in touch with me.
So you're the only guy who holds the secret to that box that we just saw in that one of the
Yes, that's why you're going to give me all your money, you idiot.
slides?
The only one that's been talking about it, and the only one that's actually been doing it. So many people have been telling me, "Oh, it doesn't work. It never came apart. It didn't go anywhere. All of it is false." In 1996, I did a lecture in Los Angeles at UFO Expo West, which we were talking about there, and had a lady in the audience, and she spoke up and she said, "Well, Brown was one of the co-founders of NICAP, and that's the prelude to MUFON. It's a civilian UFO group, and that."
Yes, wonderful
He is
organization.
he was actually one of the co-founders of that organization. And I told her, I said, yes, that's important, but this is something that no one knew about, and it's far more important.
Finally.
After
We get
the
the
lecture I
truth.
gave, she came up to me, and I found out that she was his daughter. Now, I'm not giving you her name because she wishes to remain anonymous.
Here we go, bullshit story time.
in where she's located in that. But
what did she think about your lecture and your representing him?
She was extremely thrilled about it, and she told me that her father considered the...
She gave you a restraining order.
Propulsion drive an ashtray development.
What does that mean, an ashtray?
Means you put your ashtray butts out, your cigarette butts out. It's not that important.
Huh.
That there was a bigger picture to the technology, and I smiled at her and I said, free energy, and she said yes.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
No.
And I've had permission from her to follow this and to go on into it. So that's why I'm waiting. If I get the money, within a month after getting a hold of the funds, I can have a prototype.
You could leave the country. After a month of getting that money, I could finally move to the islands.
In operation, within a year's time, it can be in production and out to the public.
And you're willing to talk to people about it. In the meantime, if another person out there who loves this kind of stuff is interested in
anyone that wants to get in touch with me, I'm more than welcome in that. And you understand, I'll talk your ears off.
Okay. Yeah, if you understand. That's the hard part. My head was spinning a few times in talking with you before the show.
Because it can get very involved.
Don't worry, Cynthia. It was all horseshit. It's not worth looking into.
Very technically and very mathematics.
I wish you would buy me a 12-pack every day.
As I said, it took them 20 to 30 years to come up with...
He's going to get $500 and leave. Finally, I got my $500. I've been at this for 30 fucking years. I'm out of here.
How in physics to describe it, and laws to do it, to explain it.
Now, apparently he had a very nice working relationship with the Air Force.
Well,
I mean, you said that they were using some of
Back in that time, for researchers to get funding from the government, you have to work with it. And that's what he was doing. So he was doing it to prepare as a propulsion drive.
I think we all need a beer after this.
To get the funds for the Air Force.
Okay. And they were using some of his patents.
Well, he worked on it, and as I said, up until 1960. In 1960, he turned it over to them, and he wasn't able to work on it ever since.
Oh, dear. I've heard that happening so often.
They literally cut him off.
Wait, what? I know.
Doing it to prepare as a propulsion drive to get the funds for the Air Force.
Okay. And they were using some of his patents.
Well, he worked on it, and as I said, up until 1960. In 1960, he turned it over to them, and he wasn't able to work on it ever since.
What?
Oh, dear. I've heard that happening so often.
They literally...
No, you haven't, Cynthia, you asshole. You never heard that before, you goof.
Cut him off. He was not allowed to work with Electrogravitics, and they had, according to his daughter, they had a lot of financial problems for quite some time.
So what they do is they have a basic researcher develop an idea. When it gets to
I don't believe a guy who can invent flying saucers is going to have financial trouble.
Point, they take it away from them, and then it's out of their hands, and they're not allowed to. I've heard that with many.
They'd either give him a nice job or take him out back.
Because he had no college degree. This is a person who was completely self-taught.
And yet he has a lot
shut
of
up. No one cared about college degrees in the 50s.
Patents that are for very complicated electronics.
You
shared his patents, a book of his patents with me.
He was outdoing people who had PhDs in physics.
He actually was invited by NASA, was it?
No.
I'm sorry.
He passed away in 1985.
Oh.
He was with the Navy before World War II and was involved in a lot of things there, working at the Naval research place in Washington, D.C. and that, with full physicists. And
I'm a struggling UFO salesman. Exactly. It's so dumb.
He was on an expedition that with a submarine that went down, and they were recording the magnetic fields in that down near the Atlantic Trench, down through that area.
Very volatile area.
He's an inventor of quite a few things in that.
Amazing what a self-taught man can do, including yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, I conned so many people. So many trailer folk bought my book. They don't even know what the hell I'm saying in it. I just made it all up. I'm a genius.
You've spent many decades studying this. And
I've had many people come up and tell me...
Cynthia, could you please stop hitting on me? I'm happily married. Well, I'm not married, but I'm married to the... I'm married to the discovery of UFOs and knowledge. So please, lay off me a little bit.
But if you've been in college, I'm going to have to retrain you. Because they're taught to look with blinders on, and if it doesn't
Yeah, get on all fours and bark like a dog. Present for me, Cynthia.
fit into their accepted theories, they ignore it.
Yes, that's true.
So it's
Don't do it,
quite
Cynthia.
sad.
Yeah.
And I have to virtually get that trained out of the person.
Yeah. Now we have 5 minutes left to the
Thankfully.
show. So what last little tidbits about this work would you like to share with the audience just before our time is up?
Well, I can say this, that once I get the generator done, that's my power source. I have a second phase to my my project, and that's done. I'm going to be building the craft.
Okay.
So if there's anyone out there that wants to get involved with it, I'm going to need hands, laborers.
Okay.
Guys, he got the money, and then he left the planet and never came back. If you sometimes in the middle of the night you could still hear him laughing.
Now, how about giving the audience some tips if they see UFOs of their own, or they have a nice photo collection, they want to go back through it now with this new information? What should they be looking for to perhaps help identify what is an IFO or a UFO?
I don't know. I'm just making all this shit up. Why are you asking me all these questions, Cynthia?
It's difficult if it's black in color, and if you can actually see the craft is black,
Sometimes,
it's ours.
don't you think it's hard to tell if it's black versus just shadows or light, or it's at a distance and you can't quite tell?
It's hard to tell on some of them, but I can usually tell when I see the video or a photo on that. Because I've been trained over the last 13 years, I've trained myself to look at it. Some of the plasma craft that we're seeing in Mexico could be
To be
ours.
fair, I don't think Cynthia gives two fucks about this, but she's, you gotta show enthusiasm.
Up close, that could be how you're seeing it, because you're seeing the plasma, not the craft itself. Now, we don't know. And as you said earlier, when we talked in that, you've seen aliens coming out of it. So it could be that they're using the same principle as ours. We don't know. And it gets quite involved.
Every time you come over, there's this sloppy shit all over my doorknobs. Yeah, that's just plasma. It's plasma.
Myself. In fact,
now that sighting when you were 13, what do you think it is now? Now in retrospect.
That was probably a real UFO, because I actually saw the angel hair involved that are
I
seen
was gonna say something, but that would still get me thrown off YouTube.
from these sites. And that's angel hair is
What do you
produced
think
because
that was?
of the reaction of the field with the atmosphere around it. It is how it's created.
What is it, angel hair? Is it an actual...
It's hard. Sometimes the stuff that I saw immediately evaporated when it touched the ground. There have been times when...
That
in cases
sounds like
that,
the kind of stuff I've heard coming off of chemtrails that had nothing to do with any UFO. It was those streaks in the sky that are coming off of jets in a very methodical pattern that expand over time, and a lot of people have reported this angel hair, only it's not a very friendly stuff. If you get it on you, it can be quite...
I would
Space
anything
cool.
of that, I'd be careful you don't touch it now.
Yeah,
anything
people
that's
have gotten
unusual,
quite ill from
no
that.
matter what it is, you stay away from it.
Space Coom follows me wherever I go.
Even getting close to, if a UFO is landed on the ground,
Space ropes. Yeah, that's not angel hair. That's space ropes.
don't go up to it.
Right, but that's a different...
Because there could be fields around it that can affect you.
No.
And it's best that you stay back away from it.
How come no one's heard about that shit for the last 20 years then?
Right.
Even the craft that I've been building, these crafts that I've shown that, there's a very immense plasma field around that craft.
That could be
and
dangerous.
It could be very dangerous.
Okay. All right. Well, what we're going to do now, Jess, is let people know how to get in touch with you. So you're willing to talk to anybody if they're interested in talking about this subject, or if they want to know how to get more information on this subject or the work of Thomas Townsend Brown. This is how they can reach you. We're going to put the information up on the screen now. All right. So Jess Fritch's email
yahoo.com.
address is djfritch2002 @yahoo.com.
I wonder if that email still works.
Again, DJFRITCH 2002
Guys, you wanna talk to the man himself.
yahoo.com. And when is UFO Connection on the air? We're on Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. and Friday mornings at
Shitty cable access show.
5:30 a.m. right here
So
on
basically, Cynthia would just take anybody for a shitty cable access show.
Cable Channel 17. And
You-
how can you
you
get
can
in touch with
email
us
them?
here at UFO Connection with comments, questions? Contact us at www.ufoconnection.net. Well, Jess, thank you so much for being our guest on UFO Connection. It was fascinating.
He's got to be dead, right? I mean, I don't even think from old age, but he's probably like tripped and Broke his neck or something.
Appreciate it.
I
Got
really
drunk.
appreciate
Got
you
drunk and fell asleep outside in the middle of the winter. Something goofy.
having me.
All right. And for UFO Connection, I'm your host, Cynthia Siegel. As always, thank you so much for watching. And remember, keep looking up.
No. I like to think she Lysoled the seat after he left. What a cheesy guy. Let me just see something real quick. Do they have more of this? This is a crazy guy channel. I'm just looking at what they got. If there's anything short. Nah, nothing really good. Wait, what's this? We'll check the real quick one. This one's quick. Then I gotta get out of here. Oh, was this widescreen?
Jesse, do you want to tell us about what we've been watching in the background here?
Yeah, what I have is one little statement. We went in 1903 with the Wright brothers' first powered flight to this capability, as you see here, in less than 60 years. And
Guys, secret space program.
it means going to the stars.
The stars?
Less than 60 years. Mankind can do anything. And what you're seeing here,
I
want
can't
to
juggle.
explain.
I've
You
tried
look up
for
the
years.
Top here, you have azimuth, elevation, and range. This is a radar.
Is this that same shitty fucking tape? Guys, you can't milk this tape forever. It's a shitty tape.
This is taken on U.S. government tracking cameras and radar.
Oh, that's
and you're gonna
the
see
same guy. You're right. I didn't know he was so portly.
Yeah, this shows the actual that they're seeing something here. It's a little hard to
He's
see.
milking that
There's
tape.
a blip right here. The craft is approximately 4.5 miles out away from the camera at this point at the S-13 site. And these sites are all over the range. There's a 3 million acre bombing range for Nellis Air Force Base. It's in south central Nevada. And they
Yeah, this was 2014. This is way after that last video.
controllers, you're not having the audio. They're just civilian contract workers, and they're not classified to see the black budget craft when they fly. Area 51 of the Groom Lake is part of this range.
So it was kicking in 2014.
But you can see it here. They're going to do a launch up on it, and it'll say
Come on, dude. How long are you going to talk about this shitty fucking tape? You can
something
talk
here
about-
shortly in that. But launch up is when they lock radar on an object. Just
Is this
before
his-
you
this might
fire
be his
on it,
YouTube
the
channel.
military. Okay, that's doing it right now. At that point, this thing took off. And it will look like it's going back and forth because this is a joystick-controlled camera by the operator. So they're having a trouble keeping up with it.
Who shot this again?
Oh, wait.
You said?
Pardon?
It's
Who
better
shot
quality.
the video?
This is these controllers on the range.
Right, okay, yeah.
This tape is illegal. The
Yeah,
individual
but it can't be that illegal if you've been peddling it for 30 fucking years.
who smuggled it out of the range, it was done in November 1994, got caught, he went to prison. How I got it was I got it in 95, 2 months after I received the copy, which I have a friend who was a controller who
He
was
turned his
hand-carried
choppers
by
into
another
the
of my
Federal
friends
Reserve?
to me. It was shown on sightings. The segment is intruder on the range.
Man, sightings. That was like 90. When did sightings come out? Like 89?
Their so-called
wait, hold on,
experts
I'm
had
gonna
no
look it up.
idea what they were looking at. Now, what's happening here is they're going to go back to what they call a safe forward place on the pole with a camera. And they're going to switch from the S-13 site to the S-30
I'm going to look
site.
up when sightings came out.
And you'll see this change once this thing ranges south here.
Sightings ran from 1991 to 1997. This guy, so he probably was on in like, I would say they were scrounging for easy videos. So probably the early years, 92, 93. He's been talking about this for fucking 30 fucking years. Would you play?
But you have to remember, they locked radar on it, and they actually got what's known as a kill, meaning they had a hard lock on something there. It was
Yeah, but he's
really
gotta
there.
be almost done
It's not
for-
a mirage. Now, you can see here the black is the craft.
There it is.
Look at the
That's just a fly, dude.
radar here. That's being jammed by the craft. It's jamming this. And if you get in, they're actually going to, in a minute, they're going to zoom in on it and get closer. And you're going to, as you look here closely, it looks like rotor blades. There's a fluctuation around it.
Look at that, guys. Look at the waves.
This is the massive field that's around the craft. And it's how this works. Linda's father's technology is this. There's no moving parts. None. And when this gets up higher, this is daylight. This is daytime on the range. Now you can see it real close. If you look, it looks like a hummingbird would have with the wings fluttering, but that's the field effect. And when it gets above these clouds here, you're going to see the white plasma field.
That's a fucking bee, dude. That's a bee or a fly.
As you can see here.
I don't know, man. I don't buy that. It looks like a bumblebee or a fly or something.
It's putting out, I guess, anywhere from at least 100 million volts, maybe higher. The black again is the craft itself.
It's a horsefly.
And you're going to get to a point here where it looks like a clover leaf of 4 separate fields. How this works is the technology is very simple. A capacitor. And
it's a
this
capacitor,
moves
guys.
Towards the positive charge. By switching your polarity in the fields, you change directions instantaneously.
Yeah, that's a bug or something.
The crew inside is inside their own gravity field. There's no sensation of movement whatsoever. There's no stress. Zero.
Fascinating. Now,
can someone usher this guy out of the building? No, it's real.
If there's a more
it's real.
If you think, is there anything additional to that we should?
This was, I have this on my site, my YouTube channel for people to see on that. I have other things, but as you can see here, the 4, and this reverse engineering craft with all that there. This is so much simpler. Think simple. There's no moving parts. There's even a way to tap energy with no moving parts. None.
Wow.
Now, I just wanted to ask as well if Mark or James wanted to ask anything from Lisa Ann pertaining to the work of...
You know, everyone's got a fucking HD cell phone camera now. How come we're not seeing UFO videos up the ass? How come when cell phones came out, the aliens disappeared? When HD video came out, aliens disappeared. It's a damn balloon. It's just a bug. Yeah, it's either a balloon or a bug or something. Oh, maybe you're onto something, old man. I don't see anything. You buy this shit, Jeff?
Yep.
Buy everything. Let me ask a real jungle man. Let me ask a real man what he thinks. Frank, do you believe this shit?
No.
What was that?
No.
You do believe it?
No.
Oh, so you believe it?
No.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. Exactly. You could be a con man and people would think you're a good dude. Yeah, it was full of shit, but here's a nice guy. Yeah, Bigfoot videos are shit too, exactly. It's a bug balloon? A bagoon? That guy could just be filming a turd in a bowl. A turd nugget. You wouldn't know the difference. The camera quality is so low. Yeah, Frank, we're talking about aliens.
You talking about your queer shit again?
Yes, Frank. Yes, we are. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Frank. We are, in fact, talking about that queer shit again. Is the footage pretty good? I'll have to ask if the guy's awake. Hey, Sleepy, what do you think of this footage?
Pretty good.
You like it?
Pretty good.
Okay. No one knows. Frank disappeared. I think Frank built his own flying saucer. A turd floating in a giant. You wouldn't know because you crank the brightness, turn it black and white, and then dump it down to fucking Sega CD level quality. What do you think, fat guy?
That's awesome.
All right. Didn't talk to this guy anymore because this footage ain't doing it. All right, look. All right, crazy guy. I've had enough of your horseshit. Look at all these other horseshit videos. I seen aliens. All right, guys. I just want to get this channel all up and running. Figure watch some retards talk about UFOs. And they delivered. There was retards talking about UFOs, except Cynthia. She was delightful. But guys, I got to get going. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching and all that horse shit.